So this is a story that, when you read it, makes you think this sounds like satire. So it's titled "Grooming Gang Abuser Owns Property Linked to Children's Care Home Planning Bid." And it is as bad as it sounds. And I'm going to read from this. So, a grooming gang abuser is involved in attempts to convert a property into a children's care home in Leeds, GB News can reveal. So this is their own work, I think. Abid Yunus, who was jailed for 2.5 years in 2015 after being convicted of sexual activity with a child. Also 2.5 years. Just, I know that's not the focus of this, but what on earth is going on with our country when he gets 2.5 years in prison? That's nothing. You know, in my opinion, murderers, rapists, paedophiles should all get the death penalty. You can never trust those people again once they've done that. And it's also not just a pragmatic thing, it's a moral thing. Those people don't deserve to live, they don't deserve to pass on their genes, they certainly don't deserve to have children, that certainly don't deserve to have them as a parent. It carries on to say, is the owner of a property being converted into a care home? Planning applications for a property owned by Yunus show that he previously submitted an application to change its use to a 21-bedroom hotel and was rejected due to parking concerns. Why this foreign man, who is basically on the sex offenders register, is able to own something that could be a 21-bedroom hotel is not touched on. He doesn't exactly give off, self-made entrepreneur vibes, does he? Is it crime? I mean, living in Swindon, the number of foreign people who are so obviously involved in criminal organisations that have flashy cars, and I'm there actually working, living in my hovel, not even able to afford a car. It's just so demoralising and annoying. If I look miserable and tired, that's part of it. So, carries on to say, a letter seen by GB News was sent to local residents inviting them to an open day at the property. The author of the letter introduced themselves as the proposed manager of the home to be set up by QASA Care Services, explaining that the home would be for young children. The property referred to in the letter is the same as the property owned by Yunus. In the planning application for the property posted on the Leeds Council website, Yunus uses his full name. So it's pretty bulletproof that this home, quite a nice home actually, that he somehow owns. It seems a bit strange actually to turn this into a care facility for children, because it just looks like a reasonably sized house. I don't understand exactly how that would happen, but I suppose he's looking at how to either make more money or make more victims. I don't know. I can't necessarily legally allege the latter of which. But in more recent applications, the applicant is referred to as Mr. A. Hussein or Abid Hussein, whatever. The People's Channel has also seen an application by QASA Care Services signed by Faz Farouk for the property owned by Yunus. Strange that, isn't it? All the people who is probably involved with are potentially involved in this venture as well. I mean, what kind of house of horrors is this guy planning? The application notes that Faz Chowdhury is an agent acting on behalf of the applicant, but Faz Chowdhury is different to Faz Farouk. I mean, this is some third world BS that shouldn't be here in the first place. QASA Care Services has one director listed on Companies House called Omar Farouk as well. So none of these names add up, which of course happens a lot in these sorts of things. It's almost like it's deliberate, isn't it? It lists the proposed change of use from a dwelling house into a residential care home. GB News has seen correspondence between councillors and council officials expressing concerns at the planning proposal. Omar Farouk approached GB News after publication and told us neither he nor anyone else involved in the planning application was aware of Yunus's conviction. Farouk said that under the terms of the new lease, he would not have been allowed in the property and that they have now withdrawn the application. So they've withdrawn it anyway, even though he wouldn't have been allowed on the premises. Interesting that, isn't it? So that's all we really know about this story. But what a sort of sorry condemnation of modern Britain, that someone can be in a grooming gang and abuse young children, only get 2.5 years in prison, own a pretty sizable property that he can then convert into a children's care home. And the only reason that this doesn't go ahead, although it could have potentially been stopped by the council, who knows? Probably not, though, because they wouldn't have had reasonable grounds without actually the exposure of what GB News has done here, that he is a sex offender, he is a paedophile, as far as they made out here. This shouldn't have to be something that we put up with, though. I mean, Britain should be a safe haven for the ethnic British. One of the things that a nation state should be is a place where the ethnicity that is most associated with that land can call home and is safe. I think that almost everyone and every conception of a nation state proposed by most people throughout all of history has that clause in there. And the fact that this is being allowed to happen is so clear a rebuke of this common sense wisdom that it's almost insulting. Well, it is insulting. It's not almost insulting. And it's just an immoral abomination that this man not only is allowed to be alive, which I don't think he should be, given what he's done, but to potentially make quite a considerable amount of money for himself through means that seem very questionable. And as someone who pays a lot of money in tax, this sort of thing is just so demoralizing. It's just like treading you into the ground. It's just I am just a cash cow for people who hate me and are going to replace me. What hope does this instill on your average person? Sorry to be so depressed here, but this is just one of the worst cases of injustice I've ever seen in Britain, and I wanted to draw some attention to it. I hope you appreciated that segment from the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, and if you want to see what else we're up to, you can always follow our series Lads Hour, where we have a bunch of fun. This time we were talking about which world leader wins in a fight. And if you want to see everything else that we're putting out, you can always follow us on Twitter. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.